What is up, guys? Dale Boy here. So, David Benavidez defeated Ronald Gavril by split decision to become the new WBC super middleweight champion of the world. And I have to say, I've got to concede, I got this fight completely wrong. I picked Benavidez to win, which he did, and I thought he won. But I didn't really expect Gavril to put up that much resistance. He was a lot better than what I've seen from him. Defensively, he was a hell of a lot better. Still got caught with a lot, but he was much more defensively aware. He was awkward. He was nice and compact. He lost the fight, but he won some fans last night. I felt he put in a good performance. Tried his best, but ultimately came up a little short. I felt it was a really good fight, actually. Two contrasting styles, and I really enjoyed it. I felt Benavidez started quite well, particularly the first 5 rounds. I think you got to score all 5 to Benavidez. Just being more active, landing the harder shots, a better variety of shots. Gavril was still landing, he was landing some nice jabs to the head and body, landing your body shot here and there, doing his thing, but not doing quite enough to win the rounds. The first 5, I felt Benavidez won fairly clearly. But the middle rounds, Gavril came back, and he done really well, actually, in the middle rounds. He started to let his hands go a little bit more. Benavidez looked like he was tiring slightly. And in the middle rounds is where I thought Gavril was starting to make up the gap in the scorecards. He was starting to claw some rounds back. But rounds 10 and 11, I felt Benavidez got his second wind. And in the 11th, I felt he hurt Gavril. Gavril looked stunned towards the end of the round. And, it looked at that point like sort of Benavidez would cruise to a points win. And Benavidez started the 12th round well. Started really well, letting his hands go, landed some good shots on the inside. But he got caught with a lovely timed jab by Gavril, and it actually dropped Benavidez. Don't think he was hurt, but, just caught him off balance and dropped Benavidez. The knockdown made the fight close, but still, I think you've got to score that fight to Benavidez. Just ultimately, he was the busier guy. He was the offensively more proficient fighter. He caused more damage. And despite him being dropped, I felt he hurt Gavril more than Gavril hurt Benavidez, But credit to Gavril, he's got a great chin. He came to fight. He's a decent little fighter. I don't think he's ever going to be a champion, but he can definitely be involved in some good fights, He impressed me in terms of his improvements, because I've seen a few clips of him online, and before he looked really, really basic, Most of his improvements were the defensive side of things. Didn't get hit quite as much in this fight. He was a bit more responsible. He still got hit a lot, but he wasn't as reckless as I've seen before. So I was impressed with that. I believe he's trained by Eddie Mustafa Mohammed. I know he's been doing some good things as a trainer lately. And I can definitely see the improvements with Ronald Gavril. But ultimately, he came up short. For Gavril, actually, I would like to see Ronald Gavril fight Caleb Plant. It's a good fight. A lot of people rate Caleb Plant. To me, he's okay. He picks his shots well. He's a decent boxer. But he doesn't strike me as a future world champion. Got some nice skills, nice and fluid. To me, he doesn't hit quite hard enough. And I'm unsure what he can do at the higher level. I'm not convinced by Caleb Plant. But Ronald Gavril versus Caleb Plant is a good fight. If I was Caleb Plant's matchmaker, that's the type of fight I'd put him in. That's a good fight. As for David Benavidez, the winner, well, he's the youngest super middleweight champion. And watching the fight last night, I watched it this morning, but watching the fight, one thing I noticed, he's got a lot of improvements still to make. He's only 20 years old. And the only issue with that is, he's a world champion now. So to me, when you're a world champion, when you're calling yourself a world champion, you don't get development fights. You've got to fight tough competition. So maybe Benavidez is not going to get those sort of development fights that he would have gotten if he didn't become a champion so early. I don't like it when a fighter holds a belt and still has development fights. That's one thing for me that puts me off. I recall Canelo Alvarez doing it a few years back when he won the WBC Super Welterweight title. If you recall when he won that, he won it off Matthew Hatton, and he then fought Ryan Rhodes, Kermit Cintron, Josecito Lopez at 154. You know, he took some development fights, and it wasn't a good look. I don't like that. Hopefully Benavidez can improve in the gym, and next time out he'll fight a contender, and those improvements will be sort of seen in front of us. He's got a lot of talent, Benavidez. Got hand speed. He's very good on the inside. His punch variation is excellent. There's not a punch he can't throw. He can throw punches from weird angles. Offensively, he's really good. He carries a bit of power as well. You know, he hits quite hard. I think last night his issue was the fact that Gavril had such a good chin. But yeah, he does hit hard. Good hand speed, good punch variation, like I said. Inside game, outside game. He did flag a bit in the mid-rounds in terms of stamina. Maybe that's something he needs to sort of look at. But it was his first 12 rounds. So, you know, it's all new to him. Next time he does that, I'm sure he can pace himself better. You know, it's all a learning curve. It's all experience at the end of the day. But Benavidez has a hell of a lot of upside. There's not many 20-year-olds who are fighting guys like Porky Medina and Gavril. To a guy who's like 25, those guys are not particularly great competition, but to a 20-year-old, to me that's impressive. He's got a lot of potential. Hopefully it's honed. Hopefully he develops. But he's in a tough division. I think super middleweight is starting to get really interesting. You've got Benavidez, like I mentioned. You've got Chris Eubank Jr., George Groves, James DeGale, Gilberto Ramirez, you know, Jesse Hart, Callum Smith, Andre Durrell, Anthony Durrell. The division is starting to heat up. It's becoming a bit stronger, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this sort of develops over the next few years, how the division pans out. Interesting. To me, the number one guy in the division is going to be the winner of the World Boxing Super Series, because ultimately all the champions had a chance to enter. So I'm going to give the benefit to the guys who did enter, if that makes sense. You know, I'm going to give it to those guys because they put themselves on the line. So, you know, guys like Eubank Jr., George Groves, Callum Smith. The winner of that tournament, to me, is the number one guy at that weight. But there's still some tough competition out there after that tournament. And it's going to be extremely interesting to see how this all plays out. I like Gilberto Ramirez, I like Benavidez, I like Groves, I like Eubank Jr. I like Callum Smith. Not quite as sold on Callum Smith as some people are, but I think he's a good fighter. Some excellent fights to be made. We're going to see some great action in the next sort of 12 to 24 months. Tell me what you guys think. Share your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Peace.